What is going on, everybody? It is time for another Pop Culture Crisis movie review that is not a movie review. It is a television review for episodes 6 and 7 of The Acolyte. We missed it last week, but out of a disturbing, dark sense of completionism, we are going to go back and we're going to review episode 6, which was titled Teach/Corrupt, and episode 7, which was titled Choice. My name is Brett, and I am here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. It's true, I missed watching last week's episode, and I swear I forgot, but it must have been me subconsciously trying to protect myself from that mental anguish.
I think it was actually you being mad at me because I was forced to watch it on my birthday, and you then just didn't watch it to punish me.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I genuinely apologize, because now that we've seen it, we have learned that the Jedi are colonial oppressors who are, they are oppressing a commune of lesbian witches.
They're also evil because they're covering up their bad deeds.
They covered up an inside job. It's all very sinister. I don't even know where to start. I guess Osha ends up with Camille, Smilo Ren.
Yeah.
And this is where all of the BPD hoes on Twitter started thirsting after him because he's supposed to be this corrupting force on Osha.
Darth Gimp Mask is a little one note. Look, I've liked him in the other episodes. I thought he did fine. But in this episode, Darth Gimp Mask is a little one note to be the, corrupting force that he supposedly is. He doesn't quite have I felt like he had more charisma in episode 5 and he needed to bring that charisma into episode 6, but it was like, I'm trying to corrupt you, but on Xanax.
It felt like everything was done in one take in these episodes as well. And I don't understand why they allowed him to have this pedo stash. It's really disturbing. He's not this like sexy evil guy.
By the way, there is a worse show that could have been made out of this, and that's Vernestra and her Padawan. I don't know that guy's name, but that would be even worse because they're even more awful.
Oh, that's Torben, the guy that.
No. It's modern day. Torben is the one that's already.
Oh, it's younger. It's younger Torben.
No. That's not his. That's not
is
his
it
name.
not?
It's not. It's the one that Vernestra's with in current year, and they are awful.
I think the blonde guy is Master Torben. That's the one that May convinced to kill himself, right?
The funny thing is Torben in the... No, I'm talking about episode 6, not episode 7. So in episode 7, Torben in the flashbacks just looks like Frodo from... Just looks like a live
yeah. The hair is not giving. It's Zoomer perm. But I guess to catch you guys up, Camille takes Osha to Kofar while she's knocked out and had her clothes stolen by May. For some reason, Jedi Master Soul still has no clue that May is in a disguise, even though he's supposed to be a master in the Force.
Well, also, plus he says in episode 7 that he has a connection with Osha.
So where did that go?
Sense.
I kept asking myself questions and realizing that the answers don't exist.
It's Mog. Mog is the name of the guy who sucks.
I forgot
Which is
about
funny because his name is Mog, so I'm going to Mog on him because I'm mogging him because him and Vernestra is even worse than the idea of having to follow around the rest of these people.
I think it was pretty obvious to me, at least, that Vernestra is the Jedi Master who scarred Camille's back with her lightsaber whip or whatever. People are saying that whip is really stupid because it just doesn't make sense in the story. But regardless of any of that, I can't tell if Osha has the hots for Camille because, again, Amandla Stenberg is completely incapable of making any facial expressions whatsoever. She makes the same face that I have when I'm like driving to work. It's just completely blank. I can never tell what she is supposed to be portraying on screen, regardless of whether she's playing the evil twin or the good twin.
What did you think about his comments about the dark side and being semantics, about the language discussion that they had?
Honestly, I wasn't paying super close attention because everything he says just sounds like an edgy Tumblr quote from 10, 15 years ago.
Which makes sense given that we have the Dr. Peterson quote from the episode before that.
He said, the Jedi are a threat to my existence. And I was like, your entire existence is being a murderer. So of course that they would be against your existence. And then he also said, when you lose everything, that's when you're finally free.
Be awesome if she's like, bitch, just say something. What are you
This
talking
guy is
about?
just saying words.
No, there's the words. It says like the path to the Force is through emotions. Like that's what they're talking about. It's like desire, fear, loss, anger. And she's like, that's the path to the dark side. He's like, semantics. I'm like,
there were other things that also just didn't make sense to me. Like if May were just minutes away from turning herself into the custody of the Jedi in the previous episode, why is she now in disguise as Osha and trying to sabotage everything? And then also when Osha is, standing in front of Kamir and he's naked and defenseless and she's armed, why doesn't she kill him?
Yep.
And then they go back to the Jedi don't harm people who are unarmed or whatever, and that's never been a rule, at least to my knowledge. That has not been a real thing.
Take a page out of Han's
ever.
book and shoot first.
They don't have a Batman rule. That's not a thing. Also, Amandla playing up May's like evil smirk is so overdone Disney Channel level acting. I think she just thought that she could like coast off of her attractiveness, and like it's not working.
The also, okay, so there's like this build up towards the end where May is shackled, and then Soul immediately says, I have no intention of harming you, May. I'm like, bro, do you know how to build tension?
Yeah, I also couldn't take any of the serious moments in this episode as they were supposed to be played. Like every serious moment in this series just makes me want to burst out laughing because none of it has any weight. And I don't understand how we're one episode away from the finale and nothing has happened.
Yeah.
Like, how do you recover from this?
Well, let's go ahead and get into episode 7 then. Let's talk about episode 7, which is entitled, or as I like to call it, episode 3.5, because the best thing that this show could have done, instead of making episode 7 the deleted scenes of episode 3, what you do is you take episode 3 and episode 7, you edit them tighter, and you make this episode 1 and 2, so that the timeline makes sense.
But they were trying to do this very surprise twist with episode 7. So that's why they waited this long to tell us the real backstory, even though no one was wondering about it in the first place. But I thought the same thing. If you're going to do an entire episode of flashback and then another entire episode of flashback before the finale, at least make it mean something in the present day. So the Jedi are climate scientists, and they're searching for a vergence in the Force that is on Brendok.
Well, actually, what it is, honestly, this whole episode becomes a discussion about a parental rights in witches parenting. There should be a don't say witches rule, because the whole thing is about the parents' right to raise their family or whether they want their kids raised by the state.
I wanted to point out this. I know we don't get very deep into lore inconsistencies because neither of us are like experts in all of that. But the one I can't get over is the way that Osha and May were conceived by the Force in this lesbian witch commune. They're obviously making this a reference back to Phantom Menace, saying that Osha and May were conceived the same way that Anakin was, but you can't just like be a lesbian witch and make babies easy mode. So like obviously in Revenge of the Sith, they very vaguely referred to Darth Plagueis conceiving Anakin with the Force as one of the most prolific manipulators of the Force to ever live, and he almost did it accidentally. But we're supposed to believe that, lesbian witches on Brendok did it first. And this is all taking place a century before the prequels take place.
So is Anissa the good mom, and what's the other lady's name? Corin? Like, is she the bad mom? Because she baits May into doing things wrong.
Yeah, I guess.
Coral.
It's
not Corin.
It's Anasea. Anasea is the black mom, and she's the good mom, and Coral is the evil white mom. And when Soul sees her and the twins, from afar, he immediately feels like the girls are in danger for some inexplicable reason. I don't know why. It's not explained. But yeah, Coral basically is grooming May to be an evil psychopath from birth. And that's why she has this marking on her forehead that Osha doesn't have. Soul says that that May was marked with dark magic from birth. And I guess that's supposed to explain why she's always been evil.
There's a really interesting discussion where Anastasia talks about her children being raised by an institution or by her family. That just feels very current year to me.
Well, it's just stupid because they're arguing about the ethics of a child being raised by a family or an institution where a lesbian witch commune is also an institution instead of a family. But whatever. I guess they were still like trying to virtue signal that also, the witches are the good guys and the Jedi are evil.
Here's the other reason why it would have made a hell of a lot more sense to move this to episode 1 and 2. I guess then you learn that after all that happened, it's so easy for May to get Master Torben to kill himself because he feels guilt over what happened on Brendok, right? Well, that would have been great to know in episode 2 when she just puts a vial in front of him and he just commits suicide. Okay, now if you had waited, if you had done these episode 3 and episode 7 together as one episode, you edited it tighter to make it a little bit shorter so that it's not to 260 or 240-minute episodes, but maybe 160 to 65-minute episode. You then show her meeting up with Master Torben later, and there's actual weight to him committing that act because you have an actual connection with what happened.
Right. And I'm still missing that. And what I still don't understand is how the Jedi were in the wrong. Like, the show is clearly trying to convince the audience that the witch moms were in the right.
Well, because
commune was in the right, and the Jedi were evil.
Because Master Soul, you know, when she transforms, he then, you know, runs through her with a lightsaber.
Okay, why is that a bad thing? He was in a tense confrontation with Coral and Anastasia. He believed that May's life was in danger because Anastasia starts to turn into this demonic black mist, and May looks like she's about to die, and he decides that in order to save the child's life, he has to kill Anastasia. That was, I think, a morally sound decision, and I guess they're trying to imply to the audience that it was wrong of him to tell Osha a fabricated version of events after she woke up.
He lied. So,
but why is that wrong? Because Vernestra said we need to tell her a fabricated narrative so that we don't destroy her dream of becoming a Jedi, which, whatever. Okay, that's kind of a stupid justification anyway, because she's too old to be trained regardless. But also, it doesn't seem like they were in the wrong to me.
This is such a funny thing, but in like episode 6, Vernestra's like, I need to handle this personally. I hope you understand. I'm like, no actual leader says I hope you understand to anything to a subordinate ever. That's no male superior would ever say something. It's such consensus building and very clearly written in the hands of women.
You think that that's because she was she's like a female leader talking to a male subordinate?
To a subordinate event? I mean, a female leader talking to any subordinate, male or female. No male leader is going to talk like that.
Yeah, I guess. I also didn't understand why Mother Coral just ran off somewhere and was never seen again. I'm going to be really confused if we watch episode 8 and she doesn't reappear somehow.
She will.
You think so?
Yes. She's the bad guy all along.
They're gonna have the power of 2 with her and Kamir. Is that the big boss fight that's on the way?
Also, like, look, mind control Kelnaka was actually kind of a cool fight scene, but then somebody pointed out, they said, like, so it takes Indara to take take him, to subdue Kelnaka, but then Indara is killed years later with a couple of butter knives and
Yeah, none of it has any consistency, but she somehow figured out how to perform an exorcism.
There was an interesting concept that wasn't executed great at the end when Soul is trying to use the Force to keep the girls alive on the bridge and he has to make a choice. Except what he should have chosen is the girls and not the bridge.
I don't know how this happened because he was standing in between them both on a lower platform, and then he lets go of the bridge that's holding May up, and suddenly it just like metastasizes over behind Osha and saves her life. I don't understand. Did he just like use the Force to teleport himself over there?
It is, I mean, there was an interesting concept there that wasn't followed through in execution.
I guess, yeah. I still just feel like this has been a giant prank. Like I feel like I'm being punked.
Also, when Trinity is talking to May, it's like a school counselor talking to her.
When who?
I keep calling Indara Trinity on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Indara's talking to May on the ship, it just sounds like a school counselor talking to like a child who's in trouble.
Well, yeah, there's no weight to anything that's going on. Even in episode 6, when Soul was grieving the loss of his entire team dying, it's like, then they follow that up immediately with some comedic relief from Basil, who I want to punt into oncoming traffic.
I'd rather have the whole show be about Basil than any of the other
Just
characters.
pick a tone, like it's either serious or it's played for laughs, but it's so tonally inconsistent, and the plot also makes no sense. None of their motivations are clear. Whether it's May or Osha, I have no idea what their motivations are.
And of course, Witch Mom was going to let her go, but then the Jedi kill her anyways. So
that's supposed to mean that Soul is in the wrong?
Yes.
How was he supposed to know that? She just starts like turning into a demonic black mist, and what? Like he was supposed to know that she was going to let Osha go the whole time?
I really just can't get over how much Torben looks like Frodo. To me.
Yeah, the braid is certainly a choice.
He's looking like Temu Frodo.
I still feel like this show is trying to convince the audience that the Jedi are evil. And
at the very least, what
no
it's
one's
doing,
buying it.
At the very least, what it's doing is it's playing with concepts outside of the black and white that it isn't intelligent enough to handle.
The prequels did that correctly.
It doesn't streamline the story enough with solid enough solid enough talking points to make the gray areas entertaining.
Yeah, I know they're trying to show us this like morally complex storyline,
but it just feels muddled,
where you can sympathize with all parties involved, but it just means that there's no clear morality in any of it.
Exactly.
There are no good guys, there are no bad guys. But to me, it just seems like the Jedi are being reasonable, or at least trying to be, and the lesbian witch commune is just full of a bunch of hysterical feminists
also, it would have
who
been
can't
good to
decide
know,
what they want.
It would have been good to know early on, like, the entirety of Soul's motivation was that he wanted his own Padawan. That would have been great to know earlier on in the show, too. His motivations would have made a lot of what we've learned since make more sense.
Yeah, if you were going to do flashback episodes, just put them at the beginning of the series.
Would have made more sense. Guys, let us know down below what you thought of episodes 6 and 7. Again, we apologize for putting out these two together, but we will be back next week for the season or series, hopefully, finale of The Acolyte. So leave a comment down below. Let us know what you thought of that episode, what you're expecting to happen in episode 8, and we will see you next week with the final review. Bye. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.